How does the window set more changing for you guys?
Not much. I mean, we definitely have to play better, just ourselves. And I think they have some guys missing that are really good players, but we can't focus on who they are playing or who they're not playing. We just have to focus on playing better ourselves. And we haven't quite done that together consistently, and I believe it's important for us to focus on doing it consistently. We have, just on the defensive end, it seems like we're missing one or two things every possession, whether it's not being aggressive in the pick and roll coverage, not contesting a shot, or maybe doing both of those things and not rebounding the ball off of a miss. Particularly last game, 20 offensive rebounds. But we got to play better, and hopefully tonight's the night.
This is a team too. They're really good at getting. I think the top 5 or top 10 definitely putbacks or whatever. So is it? How does that all of a sudden become an issue when you didn't have an issue with it previously? How is that?
Well, it's going to be. Howard's definitely 4 to 5 offensive rebounds every game. You're going to have to box him out and meet him early because he's strong. If you don't meet him early, the momentum's going to put you underneath the basket, and then he's going to get the putback dunks. But also, it's the 1 or 2 possessions a game that we don't block out a wing player and he's going in there from the baseline or from the top. We all have to focus on, once the shot goes up, locate your man, box him out. If he's not boxing out, go get the rebound yourself. But it's all just basic fundamental basketball we have to get better at.
Scott, the month of March has been, in terms of low numbers, games, minutes played, points, rebounds. Can you put your finger on why this month has been kind of difficult for him?
Well, I think also, you look at it, there's a few reasons. He's been in some foul trouble. It seems like, 4 games or maybe even more with the early 2 fouls. That, and then Jan's, he's back to getting some minutes and well-deserved minutes. And then, also, Marge hasn't played. He's missed some tough shots. Missing shots that he normally makes. He hasn't played particularly well around the rim. But every player will go through a stretch like that. Otto, he's had his stretch. I think he's out of it now. But everybody will go through a shooting stretch of, 5 or 6 games. Things are ongoing. A shot here and there can change that. Hopefully tonight he can get some rolls or some bounces that can go his way. But I think the foul trouble is probably the main culprit of not him playing a lot of minutes. But with Jan also, the minutes are not going to be like they once were. 35, 36 minutes a night. We have a really good player in Jan that we're going to utilize both of them to keep both of them fresh going into the last part of the season.
Scott, to kind of piggyback on that, when a center is playing well defensively in your system, especially against pick and roll, what is he doing? And when he's not playing that properly or well, what is not happening there? And who's responsible? How much of that responsibility is his, and how much of that is the person who started on the ball?
Well, I think it depends what coverage are we in. If we're in a switch coverage, it's your responsibility as a big to don't allow the smaller player to shoot a 3 and get him inside the 3-point line, and then we live with that possession, whether he takes a long 2 or a contested shot over a big, which is a low percentage shot, even with the great point guards in the league. And then if our coverage is getting up into the ball, it's like a marriage. It's not a 50-50 thing. It's 100% effort on each guy's in. And if it's our starting team with John and Marge, if we say get into the ball, John needs to get into the ball, Marge has to get up onto the ball to prevent that point guard to play, manipulate the screen and use his ability to attack, and then we're chasing the basketball. So it's both guys going to have to do it. And then we have some other coverages that, I don't know if you want to get into it. If you do, I charge on my clinic. Fees are about $100 an hour. But I think it's everything. When we're not playing well defensively, it's not one guy each time. It's one guy changes each time. And when we're really good, we're all pulling the rope. We're all in it together, and we're all protecting one another. It's like anything else. You have to have your trust that knowing your 4 buddies are back there going to support me and going to help me when I need it.
In Boston, John said that, you know, sometimes when the shots aren't falling, the defense trails off, and that's something that, you know, we've heard back in November. So do you think that that's part of the problem too?
Well, I mean, that's always, I mean, from the game, since the game was invented, I'm sure if you make shots, you feel good. But you know, we want to establish a way of playing, and it's a defensive way of playing, so we can score off of our defense, and we've done a decent job up until after the All-Star break. But we definitely have to get back to playing with that tough-minded defensive approach that we did have. But making shots or missing shots, there's some truth to that, but there's also, you know, that West Coast trip, we were scoring. I mean, we were making shots. Like I said, it was an ABA road trip, and we weren't playing much defense, but we were scoring at a high clip, and we were making shots, we were making threes. We did play better defense in the 4th quarter and in the overtime and a couple of overtime wins. But we have to have an approach that we stay consistent on how we play.
Coach, what is your philosophy on resting healthy players?
I mean, that's obviously a hot topic now. I mean, I get everybody's perspective. But I get, there's a lot of things to be said about that. I believe there's certain cases and certain examples and certain players that probably need it, but that's very rare in my opinion. I mean, you're talking basketball. It's 32 minutes a night. This is not hard work. This is fun. I mean, rest. To me, rest is a good night's sleep. And I've seen coaches and players and do it in the beginning of the season, or do it after a All-Star break. I mean, to me, rest is a good night's rest, and taking care of your body, being prepared to play. And you know, hard work is a lot of things that a lot of people do other than athletes and coaches. And not knocking of what we do, and it's hard to get here, and we're all blessed and privileged. But the rest thing, it's blown out of proportion in my opinion. You're talking about a game that we love, and we do it every day in the summer. These players practice or play every day in the summer for 2 hours, and some of them go back at night and play another hour and a half of working on their game individually. So the rest, I get it in certain cases. If you're banged up and your body needs to recuperate and get healthy, absolutely, we have to do that. But if you're just resting just as a badge of honor, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. But it's my opinion is obviously could be different from everybody else. I respect their opinions, but I believe that it's a game that we all love to play, and to me, rest is your 8 hours. Go to bed at 10 and wake up at 6, and then you get your 8 hours. You'll be refreshed for the games.
To piggyback on that, do you think in that case, on what's happened recently on the NBA's position is that teams are obligated, so to speak, if you're healthy, national TV games, that stuff, that you should feel responsible and obligated to play the best guys in those games?
No, I don't know if it's, to me, it's the obligated is the right word. I think we're all obligated to earn our keep. You know, we all signed the contract to play games and play as many minutes as the coach wants you to play, and I think it's important. I don't know what has changed. I mean, I obviously when I played, you didn't sit out games. You didn't even sit out practices. There was a lot of trash talking if you sat out of practice. You didn't want to be called those names. So you took pride, and you can imagine some of the names, and Soft and Charmin. You know, there's all kinds of. I'm gonna keep it PG. But I read Stan's comments about it on all the things that we have nowadays, and now you want rest on top of all that. But like I said, some players need it. There's no question. There's going to be times where, one of your players might need it because their body is banged up and they're fighting through it, and you appreciate that. You love that toughness about, for instance, like some of our guys, they're fighting through the bumps and bruises of an 82-game season. And if it ever gets to a point that I think, I need to rest, I do rest them in practice and shoot-arounds. But if it comes to a point I need to rest them in the game, I will make that decision. But right now, I think we're all in a good place.
Scott, the lineup that net rating speaking with, the best one you guys had for a lot of the year was the one with Kelly playing with the starters with Otto at the forward, and you guys have not really used that one much at all of late. I know Kelly sort of fell out of the rotation a little bit or wasn't playing as much. Was there something that you saw specifically that you didn't like as much, or is there a possibility you go back to that?
Well, there's a couple of things. Boyan's come in and played well. Obviously, we brought him in to fill a role that we felt that we needed, and he's done a great job with that. Kelly has played the way that we need him to play the last 3 games. And with all players, you have to embrace the role that the coach gives you. And I think the last 3 games, Kelly has really embraced that and played well. And I think when you do that, he's going to get more minutes. He has to use his defensive abilities. Right now, his offense is not where it's going to be. It's a developing. His offense is developing. He's not where he's going to be in a few years, but his defense can be really good if he's committed to doing that each night. I thought the last game was high level, and he was guarding a very good point guard, one of the best in the league. And I like when he did that. Maybe he's going to get more minutes.
Coach, you were talking about you're making shots, you want to play defense. Kelly's been in kind of a slump from 3 lately. Does that maybe mean like he's turned a corner in his career, that he's able to put that aside and just lock down on defense like he has been lately?
Well, I don't know. The good thing with Kelly, he should really be excited about this. I don't look at Kelly's offense. If he makes a shot, great. That's a bonus. That's going to keep improving, because one thing about Kelly, does work. He comes to the gym early. He gets his workout in before practice, and he works in practice. So that part of his game is going to continue to improve. But I don't look at make a shot, Kelly gets more minutes. Miss a shot, he gets out. I like him to make it. It feels good. Everybody feels good about making shots. But when he competes defensively and active, and his hands are involved, and his feet are moving, and his head's in it, he has ability to be an elite defender. But if he doesn't, he doesn't have it. It's about using your abilities and being focused every night. It's hard to do in this league, but if you want to be a consistent rotation guy, you have to be able to do that.
Scott, talking about the players of your generation, Isaiah Thomas, the Hall of Famer, he talks about basically having the Chris Paul injury and having his knuckle removed instead of waiting for it to heal, because it got him back on the court quicker. And now he doesn't have a knuckle, he can't do certain things. But for him, that was what he wanted to do, was chasing championships. Do you have any story like that of your own, or any of your teammates that you remember that just show that mentality?
I think, I don't know if it's different mentality. I think it's players are getting, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of things that we know. But to me, out of all the great stuff, the technology, the workloads, all the information, the sports science, to me the really thing that makes a lot of sense is sleep. If you go to bed at a reasonable time, your body is going to stay healthy longer, or you can recover quicker. Everybody's been saying that, but when you don't, even for myself, there's nights that I can't go to sleep till 3 or 4 in the morning. But I don't have the luxury to staying in bed till noon. I get up, as early as I can to get to do my job. You don't feel good, but you try to get as much sleep as you can. I think players back then, we didn't have all this stuff that we have at our fingertips. So I don't know, it's hard to really explain, but I don't know, I wouldn't say the players were tougher. They weren't given options. I mean, we weren't given options, but like I said, we didn't get options to take practices off. I mean, our practices were long. I mean, Isaiah, I wish I would have known that. I would have forced him whatever hand was sore. He went by me so easy, I couldn't even force him left or right. I'm pretty good. My knees are hurting, my back is aching, my elbows hurt, my ankles hurt, but I wouldn't change anything. I love what I did, and I love to compete, and I don't remember myself. I mean, although I had
Was the teeth?
toothaches twice, and I wanted to play the game, so I told the dentist, take it out. And he said, well, you're gonna have trouble when you're 75 trying to chew. I said, I'll worry about that then. But yeah, I did do that, but that's nothing.
Speaking of toughness, have you been impressed by Bradley Fields?
Absolutely.
His durability, given his history this year?
No, I mean, I don't look at that as being tough. I looked at that, he had a tough luck, with his injuries the last 3 or 4 years. But he has displayed toughness all throughout the season. I look at toughness as a guy that does his job every day. I look at toughness as coming into the gym early every day. I look at toughness as doing your routine every day, regardless of how you played the night before. Toughness is not fighting anybody. Nobody fights, although last night they did. But nobody fights, and you shouldn't fight. This is a game. It's not a game of fighting. It's a game. It's a beautiful sport when it's played together. But Bradley has displayed toughness throughout this year of just being a consistent pro. And you want all your players to learn how to be a pro. To be a pro is cheering for your teammates. It's doing whatever it takes to help your teammates look good and play well. And Brad has done that. He exemplifies that to all of his teammates.